In the early 2000s, Disney Channel was at its peak. Children across the world tuned into shows that promised joy, friendship, and laughter, and at the center of this golden era stood That's So Raven, a groundbreaking sitcom led by Raven-Symoné, a performer whose energy and charisma made her unforgettable.
Wake up, Corey, and bring down for breakfast. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You did not. No, you didn't.
But behind the laughter was a very different story, a story of a teenager carrying the weight of an entire network on her shoulders, a story of intense pressure, body scrutiny, and an industry that demanded perfection while hiding its pain under the layers of comedy. This is the dark reality behind That's So Raven. Hollywood is more than just glamour. It's a world of mystery, and on Tragic Icons, we unravel it all. Raven-Symoné's path to fame began long before Disney. She was only 3 years old when she landed a spot on The Cosby Show, instantly recognized as a child prodigy with remarkable comedic timing. From the beginning, she was trained to perform, to smile, and to deliver. By the time she reached her teens, she was already an industry veteran. Disney saw in her something rare, a young black girl who could carry comedy with ease, charm, and relatability.
And I love these potatoes. Somebody passed the gravy. Did you just say the G word? What, y'all don't like gravy? No! Now don't you bubbly, boy. You think it's easy being your girl? Okay, you don't take me anywhere. You don't.
In 2003, That's So Raven premiered. The show was different from anything Disney had attempted before. For the first time, a black teenage girl was the lead character in a Disney sitcom. Raven was not a sidekick, a friend, or a background role. She was the star.
Girl, you be tripping. Yeah, well, if the game turns out the way you predict.
Disney had done something very courageous. It was their first time ever creating a sitcom, a show on the channel where a black teenage girl was the main character, was the lead character. Most of the time on the shows on Disney, they were a lot of roles lead by white girls, but this time, Disney gave us something that was very different, and everyone loved That's a Raven. I loved That's a Raven. My friends, my neighbors, everyone really loved That's a Raven. It was a very good show. It was phenomenal. Raven was very good when it came to facial expressions. Her mood was everything. The aesthetic, the clothing, everyone wanted to be Raven or become friends with Raven. That's how popular the show was. That's So Raven was a huge success, and Raven made history. The show quickly became a cultural phenomenon. It broke ratings records. They launched merchandise, and the show became one of Disney's longest running sitcoms. That's to show that this show was a huge success, and it was so loved that everyone worldwide loved That's a Raven. But while the public saw a bubbly teenager living out her dreams, Raven's reality was far more complicated, and this is where the dark part starts. Behind the scenes, Raven carried an enormous responsibility. The show's weight was on her shoulders. She was not just acting in the show, she was the show, and she had to be always perfect. The producers relied on her. She faced a lot of pressure, and make no mistake, she had to make sure that she had everything in order. She had to be perfect because the show relied on her facial expressions the most, and she had to keep the same energy, the same dramatic appeal, the same liveliness, the bubbly persona that she had on every episode.
Like we say in Joycey, accidents happen. Yeah, and And Raven's gonna have one tomorrow. Best thing is she won't even see it coming.
Producers relied on her to bring life to the script. Executives relied on her to keep Disney's brand fresh and profitable. Children relied on her to deliver joy. For a teenager, that kind of pressure was suffocating. Every move, every expression, every joke was under scrutiny. One thing I have realized about Hollywood in particular, and Disney especially, is that producers and executives prey on these actresses and these actors, and they basically feed on them. They basically torment them, and I feel like that was happening to Raven. The reason why I'm saying it is that she had a lot of things going on, and these producers, these executives would put more pressure on her. They would say a lot of things to her, things that were sometimes good, things that were also bad as well. And one of the other factors that really triggered her a lot is that they always controlled what she did, who she was with, who her friends were, what she ate. Everything about them was this. It was an example of, when you're playing chess and there is the king and the queen, and then there's all these other pawns. And I feel like in Hollywood, all these other pawns are just there to be used and discarded. And that's the same feeling that I have on what was happening to Raven. And not only Raven, all the other Disney actresses, the Disney stars as well. One thing about producers and executive is that people don't understand. They can either make you and break you at the same time. They torment these people behind the scenes, and we only see what we want to see and what they show us. They controlled Raven to a point where she was breaking down mentally, and she also said that she had to hide who she was, just so that she can fit that image that Disney wanted her to become. And that's something very brutal for a teenager, for a young girl. That kind of pressure was enormous. It was very, very brutal. And one thing that people don't understand is that a lot of these child stars have mental health issues. And trust me, mental health issues are something that's very, very serious. And for Raven, the pressure was also just not about performance. It was about her appearance as well. Unlike many of her Disney peers, Raven did not fit the industry's narrow standards of thinness and beauty. She was curvy, full-figured, and unapologetically herself, but in Hollywood and in Disney in particular, they made it clear that her body was a problem. Raven would later reveal that executives constantly commented on her weight. She was told to slim down. She was told her body could limit her roles. She was told that who she was not enough. They were nasty towards her. The executives, the producer, the big bosses were nasty towards her. To be constantly body shamed as a teenager, even as an adult, it carries a heavy stigma within our hearts. It causes us a lot of pain. Now imagine a teenage girl going through that, learning that, and later on having to unlearn what she was told. Is very painful. And these producers constantly told her that, reminded her that her body was not enough because she didn't fit in the Disney beauty standards and the Hollywood beauty standards, the thinness criteria beauty standards. I'm sure everyone knows by now how crucial the Hollywood beauty standards can be. She was forced to go on diets, and that's very crazy. And for the fact that even though she was the best, she knew what she was doing, she was an extraordinary actor, Hollywood didn't care. Disney did not care. They just felt like she still wasn't perfect. I feel like behind the scenes, the producers acted like they were doing her a favor, then she was doing them a favor. And for a teenage girl, under such immense pressure, the constant polishing of her body was devastating. And on top of that, they had to put her on these crucial diets. These people were not easy on her. They were just the worst towards her. They treated her very badly, and it actually touches my heart because people don't understand is that when you are told so many things as a kid, you grow up believing that, and it's hard for you to heal from all that baggage that you had from a young age when you're older, unless if you go through some really deep shadow work. And for such a beautiful girl with so much skills to go through that, it was very painful. And she was not the only one. She was not the only one. This had nothing to do with race. Everyone in Disney, every child was facing all these things. Everyone. There was no chosen one. There was no one that was excused. Everyone had it the worst. But when it comes to Raven, they had to polish her body, and on top of that, her um who she was in general with her sexuality. She was a queer, if I'm saying it nicely, she was a queer person. And they didn't understand that because they wanted her to be this person that they already molded. And it wasn't fair because not only are you body shaming her, you're controlling who she falls in love with. Can you imagine how sick that is? Please leave a comment in the comment section, guys, about what you think about the part of her being body shamed, and what do you think of the pressure of Hollywood? Do you think that it is necessary for them to go through this process, this crucial, hard process? Because this is just very bad. This is just very bad. This is just very dark. Already she's doing enough, but behind the scenes you're making her feel like she is not doing enough. And that's the pain that I felt like Raven was going through. She's an amazing actress. She's beautiful. She's extraordinary. But this pressure was not good, and she had to go through this. And I feel like after she left, she finally understood that she was free. While audiences laughed at Raven's antics on screen, she was quietly battling insecurities, emotional exhaustion, poor mental health, and the weight of unrealistic expectations. Disney sold her to the world as confident, bold, and unshakable, but behind the scenes, she was forced to suppress her pain. What made Raven extraordinary was her ability to turn pain into laughter, her comedic brilliance, how she always hit the truth. She was very good at masking things, no matter what she felt or whatever she was going through, no matter the pressure or the comments about her body. The world never knew. What they knew was that she knew how to make people laugh. But comedy in her case was also a mask. It was easier for executives to market a funny character than to acknowledge the struggles of a real young woman. Can you imagine how crazy that is? Hollywood just sells us this illusion, but when you look beyond the illusion, when you look beyond all the vivid colors and the glamorous lifestyle, there is a lot. And most of the things that are usually behind scenes are dark. And as more stories are being told, the darker it gets. Hollywood, Disney is just this world that everyone is using everyone, and they just discarding them. Sorry guys, my English is so bad. Please bear with me. Hollywood is just crucial. I cannot imagine how these stars, these young children have to go through this. Not only that, there's a lot of other kids back in the 60s that were being used, that were being actualized, at a young age. And it's very crazy. It's so crazy. Can you imagine how crazy this is? Very dark. This is very painful. And this girl knew how to hide it all. Episodes on That's So Raven leaned on Raven's ability to transform into outrageous disguises, pull faces, and exaggerate situations. Audiences saw humor, but behind that humor was a young star hiding the emotional toll of being constantly judged and constantly expected to deliver. Her laughter became a form of survival. She had to find a way to survive, and that was it. By the time That's a Raven ended in 2007, Raven had cemented her place in television history. She had carried Disney's most successful sitcom. She broke a lot of barriers as the first Black woman to lead such a phenomenal show and inspired an entire generation. Raven was a success. She made history. She was a beautiful, phenomenal actress. This young girl made history, but the cost was steep. Years of pressure left scars. She struggled with her self-image as expected, revealing later on in life that she dealt with a lot of eating issues and emotional strain during her Disney years. She was deprived of a lot of things. Her success, instead of freeing her, had typecast her. Hollywood saw her as Raven Baxter, the comedic teenager, and struggled to see her as anything more. Like so many young stars before her, Raven's career was both defined and limited by the very role that made her famous. And that's the curse about being a child star in Disney. The moment you grow up and you get kicked out of Disney, it's over for you. There's only exceptions that have managed to push forward and make a name of themselves after Disney, stars like Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus. Today, That's So Raven is remembered fondly as one of Disney's most beloved shows. For many viewers, it represented joy, inclusivity, and the groundbreaking visibility of a Black teenage girl in the spotlight. But for Raven herself, it also represented a period of pain, pressure, and impossible expectations. She gave the world laughter while quietly carrying the cost of perfection. Her story is a reminder of what happens when the industry uses young women for profit while disregarding their humanity. It is also a reminder that comedy often hides tragedy, and it is proof that even the biggest stars can pay the highest price for laughter. That's So Raven was more than a show. It was a cultural landmark, but behind the color, the human, and the vision of a teenage girl seeing the future was the reality of a young actress struggling to survive the present. The legacy of Raven-Symoné is not just about laughter, it is about resilience, the hidden pain behind perfection, and the dark reality of growing up in an industry that demanded everything while offering little in return. This was the price of laughter. This marks me at the end of this video. Please let me know what you guys think of this story of Raven-Symoné. What do you think of the pressures that she was facing in the industry? And not only her, what do you think of all the pressures young Disney actresses and older actresses in Hollywood face? I would really appreciate your opinions. Please like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please share this video. Please subscribe. And when you do subscribe, please hit the notification bell. My name is Unina, your host from Tragic Icons. Thank you guys. Bye.